going. This is going.
You're having trouble with
I
that.
am. Well, I'm getting old, Ed. It's the
How
old
old are
late
you?
71. I know. I mean, I'm just a punk, but
How old are you, Frank?
I will be 60 in a few months, in December.
Even younger punk.
well, I think we're rolling here.
Ready and willing.
You ready? Okay.
Well, it looks great through this little window here.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Do you have any thoughts about why it's? I'm trying to create a situation where the actors will come forward. Do you have any kind of background that you could give us that would talk about why, how difficult it is, not why, but how difficult it is for celebrities or people in the public eye to stand up?
Well, because sponsors and producers and broadcasters will jump down their goddamn throat and cancel the show, fire them if necessary, as long as they can show that it wasn't due to their political or social pronouncements. The best example I can give of that is that I was hired for narrating a documentary out of Boston. And when I showed up to work, producer took me out to lunch and he said, "Remember that interview you gave about 6 months, a year ago in D.C.?" And I said, "I think so. Why?" "Well, in that interview you talked about how when there's a blacklist going on, it doesn't matter if it's a liberal or a conservative, because the liberal doesn't want to screw his product, his baby, his program. So, but he won't admit to blacklisting someone, to participating in that blacklisting. So if that actor comes before him who is being blacklisted by others, and he looks and he says, no, he's too fat, he's too thin, he's overexposed, I was thinking of, he's too ethnic," you know, that kind of shit. And so he doesn't hire him. Now I heard of 2 cases where that happened to me. And if I heard of 2 cases where it happened to me, then in this case, the producer, director, said, "Well, I heard that interview you gave, and that's why you're here." I said, "What do you mean?" "Well, about that, just before that, about 6 months before that, I had a documentary I wanted you to narrate. And I put your name down and submitted the list to the producing organization. And they sent the list back with a red line through your name." And I didn't say anything, he said. But I knew why it was happening. And
Do we know what that is?
it's my phone.
We kind of stepped on that.
Would you get that for me, Frank?
I think it just got itself.
I know, but I don't want it to happen again.
Oh, okay.
It's persistent.
What would you like me to do?
Just bring it here and I'll turn it off.
Where is it?
It's not singing
It's a cell
now.
phone?
Yeah.
Here, I'll bring it to you, and you probably know how to turn it
Oh,
off.
sure.
I have an iPhone, but I don't use one of
Sure.
those.
Sorry to take up your time like that.
Hey, you know, Ed.
Got
please,
a cool little
you're-
blues riff there, though.
You're the man. I'm just going to a funeral after this, so I'll stay here as long as I can.
Okay. So, as I said, the producer said, "And that's why you're here." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I wanted you for something about a year ago, and I submitted your name, and the list came back with a red line through it. And I didn't do anything about it. I didn't hire you, but I know why they did it, and that's why you're here today." And so he was doing penance, and those liberals that I mentioned earlier who participate in a blacklist don't know that they're participating in it. They've created these other reasons. Too old, too young, too fat, too thin.
Well, that point's right for an actor. I mean, that just hits them right where they hurt. I'm so afraid, of the superficial judgments.
Yeah. But Rome fell for even less reason.
Well, and it certainly fell. Well, I guess that kind of gives me something to put in terms of that issue, because I did want to address it. I think it's important that everybody gets.
I said at the time when I felt I was being blacklisted that you only need one or two blacklists a century, because the fear it instills, even if there was no blacklist, but the fact that it has existed and will exist again, keeps people with their mouths shut. And as you and Frank and I have discovered that sure as hell what happens with 9/11.
Ed, where were you, and what was your reaction on the day of 9/11?
Do I remember where I was? I was here in L.A. That was 2001. My then wife was at work, and I watched it on TV. But it seems like almost from the get-go, I smelled a rat. And I had a girlfriend in New York at that time, and a dear person. And she was quite terrorized. And I was very sarcastic, unsympathetic, and cruel and brutal. And brought her to tears for feeling any fear or thinking that they were going to come swarming across in more planes. So I was a perfect shit. And I guess if you were there, it was hard to be unafraid. So I kept watching and listening and taking the information as it came through to me or leaked through. The architects and engineers that were forming and propagating the and when I would come across professionals or even scientists and try to posit my stance, and they'd look at me with wonder in their eyes, as if I was the space alien that I had just landed and I was trying to sell them some poppycock. I learned very on that what I accepted as gospel, what I accepted as objective fact, was preposterous in their eyes. And even if it wasn't preposterous, that for me to pursue such thoughts was traitorous, was not objective, no matter how objective the facts might be, no matter who might agree with me. And I learned very on that the majority of Americans I might talk to would reject me either on the grounds of fear or preposterousness that there is no Santa Claus. How could I think that? I mean, I don't know where the hell they've been living. I just heard about the publication of the Warren Report after 50 years, and that Alan Dulles had the committee keep quiet or not release it at the time, bury it at the time, that Lee Harvey Oswald was a paid informer of the FBI. How many people? And I say that to people, and they, oh yeah, we knew. Bullshit. Bullshit. They may have heard it from someplace and accepted it as fact, but it's never been authoritatively emitted. And I don't know how long it will take for the truths of 9/11, other than the ones that you guys print and film, to be accepted by the general public. I suppose 100 years.
As scary as that sounds, there's no evidence that things are going to get better fast. Well, so you kind of covered several of the questions there. The next question was...
Well, uncover them.
Next question is, when did you have an aha moment concerning the events of 9/11? What was it?
From the very beginning.
But I mean, what was it that actually caught your intellectual curiosity as to what's an impossibility of what it is you're seeing compared to what they're saying?
Well, the revelation about Building 7 was the big clincher. I mean, I look at the collapse of Building 7 and hear that Silverstein said we have to pull it. And I look at the Twin Towers, and they're falling the same way that Building 7 did. And I say to myself, well, if you have to pull it, that means you have to lug explosives. That takes a long time, a lot of explosives. You didn't do it in the same day, within hours of the attack. They must have been there. And if they were in Building 7, they must have been in the Twin Towers too, which produced the same falling effect. When I heard about the janitor, when I heard about the steel simmering underground for weeks, when I hear about, when I hear the ridiculous story of the passport found at the site, the only thing found at the site was that passport. Damning that poor Saudi Arabian, or wherever the hell he was. It's ridiculous.
The buildings were gone.
Yeah.
Passports there.
Yeah. The rubble. The tales about the thermite. The thermite blanketed the area from the explosion. The fact that 3,000 people died. The fact that Building 7 contained all of the intelligences for everybody. Now, why they wanted that destroyed, I don't know, but...
Story is Enron had its stuff. Enron had its stuff in there.
Yeah, well, that's ancient history, man.
Mm-hmm.
Enron, what do they do?
Well, they were going to be indicted on serious crimes,
kidding.
yeah. Well, so for me this was extraordinarily emotional.
There was no aha moment for me.
No aha,
it just grew and grew and grew within me, and I became more and more determined to believe.
So you did your research and you're confident in what you see, and you go to tell people. You tell your family, and first...
I don't even work on my family. My family would listen to me, but they won't go out and carry a picket sign.
Well, I think that's part of the story that everybody has in their family.
Yeah, yeah.
But then you go
and
to
they
your
think,
friends.
what can I do to compare to him? They think that too.
They're looking for something to counter you with in your discussion?
No, not on that one. Other things they have. My son and I have disagreements about Israel. I haven't really discussed it with my daughter, but she seems to accept and go along with my thoughts. My other daughter, I haven't even discussed it.
Well, I won't put this in, put about your personal family, but,
I don't care.
well, but, what about your friends? What about your Hollywood buddies? What about Mark Rydell, for example? You did a short film with him, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And about 9/11, and he played the part of the guy who didn't want to hear about it. It was a great little movie. And was Mark on board, or did you have to convince him? Or
when we speak, he speaks with assurance, but we have never sat and said, I have never directly accused him of, do you believe this and do you believe that? I don't have to.
Yeah.
He does the Lord's work without my having to do that, so why should I pursue it? I trust that he believes it, that he thinks that there's something rotten in Denmark, and
that's pretty much it.
and he does a brave thing by being in that movie.
That's right. That's right. So there's a way that actors can participate in getting this type of information out without committing themselves to being a representative of the thing. I mean, because Mark is playing the opposite in the movie, so.
Oh, I know he's playing the opposite, but the public is not that dumb.
I
If
don't
he's
know, I
in
don't know
that-
about that.
Well, maybe they are. But if he's in that movie, even though he's on the opposite side, he does not say you win. Yeah, no, of course. But he also does not say I believe.
That's an important point.
But that doesn't really make any difference. The history of Hollywood and film is, if you were in that movie, and there are no movies like that, they were never able to find a commie movie in all of the history of Hollywood. But if you see Mark Rydell in that movie and you are bitterly opposed to the idea that there was treason, well, then you would automatically indict Mark Rydell for being in that movie.
So that is the guilt
And
by
whoever made it,
guilt by association.
yeah, which is not rare in this country. And listen, I know that for many decades, Hollywood was regarded falsely in many ways as a liberal bastion, and that most right-wingers, fascists, conservatives, felt that they could not be too outside. I mean, they would go ahead and contribute, they would campaign for candidates, yes, but they would not do anything as totally left field as 9/11. But they have felt persecuted over the years, feeling that there is a liberal bias against fascists and right-wingers. And I don't like the sons of bitches, but I certainly wouldn't, God strike me dead if I ever stopped them from working.
No. They have a right. Everybody's got a right to have a point of view.
But what you say and what you do is two different things. When the test comes, then I'll tell you. Well, John Voight is a very good example. He's quite, as far as the union goes, he's quite on the right. But he's the most personable guy in the world. He's one of the finest actors you can hire.
Mm-hmm. That's
So
for
be aware.
sure. That's for sure. Yeah, it's paradoxes. What do you see as the main reason people refuse to even consider alternate theories of 9/11?
Because the half-assed commission reports the schmucks that they populated it with are shadow people. They're identified as liberals in some cases, but they ain't shit. And they should forevermore be discredited in terms of any liberal or truth-seeking commissions, because they're liars, and they help discriminate against people who wanted to come forward with the facts.
What do you say to, let's see,
And I would say Lee Hamilton is certainly one of those people.
And it's so interesting that Lee Hamilton keeps coming forward, though, and trying to marginalize his position by saying that they didn't get everything. They didn't. The
Just a little pregnant.
Yeah, he's just a little pregnant on the subject. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Do you, when you talk to friends and they see the evidence, and they look at the evidence and they still don't see it, do you pursue
Never come
it?
to that. It's
Never come to that. Okay.
No, they'll go, yeah, that's interesting. And I'm not going to go home and put them in my bed. So it's up to them to pursue, but they won't.
Okay. What are your current understandings of American, I guess you could say, American foreign policy?
Well, I hear all kinds of left field rumors that ISIS was initially financed by the CIA. I can't keep up with the duplicity and the corruption and the governmental, the fighting, the sparring that goes on within as it did with Kennedy, as it did with the CIA and the FBI, and they are populated with a great number of scumbags, or patriots if they want to call themselves that, who will do anything, including sacrificing lives, to make their point. The military. Many times the military has come forward when our civilian branches of intelligence have betrayed us. So, they all switch hats all the time.
So the State Department and the military are kind of seem to be in cahoots.
Yeah.
On something. This is maybe one of my favorites.
My point is this: I know so little. I know everything.
Comes down to that.
Yeah.
Your comments on how the media, this is a big subject, I think, how the media has handled 9/11 both back then and now.
No, they don't handle it. I'll never forget when I did a role in JFK. New York Times was quite identified with the right, or more of the right than they are now, because Iraq really exposed them, and they got rid of the dreck that worked for them and falsely reported for them. What did I start to say?
It's about how the media has handled 9/11
Yeah,
then and now, and they didn't handle it.
Of course, they allowed Bush to take us into Iraq. They allowed him to wage war, and I don't know what my point was, but
Well, they allowed it. How did they allow it? How did they allow?
But printing substantiating columns and interviews. What was the name? Halabi or whatever his name?
Shalabi.
Shalabi, who said that there were WMDs in Iraq, and that they had it all. He's a lying bastard.
And they put him on TV all the time.
Yeah. He's still running around spewing his lies.
Why aren't there progressives and liberals on television just being able to discuss
Well,
this?
that's the point. Who's the God damn it.
Hey, I do it too.
I mean, here we have Amy Goodman on KPFK.
Well,
She
on
won't let-
Democracy Now!
Yeah, She won't let anybody talk about 9/11. I mean, what kind of liberal investigator do you call yourself? Rachel Maddow has done nothing in that area. Bill Maher stays away from it like the plague. And John Stewart and what's his name?
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, they haven't touched it. And if they can't do it humorously, I guess, they don't want to do it.
It's a downer. It's a real downer. It's so deep. Are you getting a call?
No, she's got it.
Oh, okay. Well, do you? I'm just going to pull this one out. Do you feel that do you feel that there's any chance, since the Americans own the airwaves and they're licensed to the media, which is owned by 6 companies now, all newsprint, all television, all radio are owned by 6 companies. So, do you think that there's let's put it this way: what do you think it would take to to shake them up to present both sides of the story?
All of their reporters, investigators, finally saying we can't take it anymore and refusing to cover the news.
So a revolt from within.
It would take a revolt. Oh, here's my darling.
There she is. This is your other daughter.
No,
Oh no, this is Liza.
no, this is
No,
not
this is your other.
This is my darling Lois.
Hi.
Hi, Lois.
Lois
I'm,
Frank.
I'm Chuck, and that's Frank.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm doing an interview for 9/11. Pull up a chair.
Oh, that's
baby.
cool.
Oh, look, you gonna see Liza first?
Yeah, I'd go say hi now.
Come back anytime.
Do you think a person has to be familiar with science to perceive the 9/11 crimes?
No, they just have to be intelligent. People who are intelligent, who find the science too confusing, back off. But if they had any intelligence, they'd realize that certain facts they can glean, can understand, and take in one step at a time, and occupy half of the truth if necessary.
So it takes a natural curiosity
Yeah.
to want to see it through.
Above all, it takes a natural distrust of what governments do. And I know the right wing has distrusted whatever big government does, as far as they're concerned. Anything is big government. I don't care how small a tax they pay. But the liberal, too, must learn not to trust his government.
What did you think when you saw that the crime scene was hauled away, sold, and melted?
Yet another example of the outrageousness of government. And above all, their best market was Japan. You couldn't get it shipped much farther.
Yeah, they shipped it to probably, I don't know about Japan, but I know they shipped it to China and India.
Oh, was it China?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I knew it was one of those places.
both of them, China and India. But, you know, like we've been taught by watching probably even shows that you've started.
Can you imagine how many Chinese were busy poring over the junk from 9/11? Oh, and bottom line, have you ever read an official report of any black box of any plane? Nothing. Shouldn't we ask questions about that? How come we never heard?
There's a person who has spoken, said that he was present when they found 2 of the black boxes.
Oh yeah.
They got them.
Yeah. Or, now, how come no black box in Washington? Pentagon. What happened there?
No plane.
How come no black box in Pennsylvania? Golly, why have a black box if nobody can print and publicize what they have to say? It sucks. And we're all stupid fools.
Do you think we can ever make the Pentagon release the 70 some odd videos that they have of what happened that day at the Pentagon? All the videos that were spaced all around the Pentagon, the most videotaped building in the country, and they've absconded with all of the videotapes, and the only one they released was 3 frames from a video that's in one of those arms that lifts up so you can drive your car through.
Yeah.
And they have completely never released any of the other videos.
I didn't know about those. No. I mean, we are all fools. I mean, there's so much evidence of duplicity and corruption. As Jack Nicholson would say, you don't want to know the truth.
Thank you, Ed. Geez, we did really good here. Do you have any, let's see, we did this. Do you have any comments for film and television professionals who privately share your views on 9/11 but don't speak out? Maybe this would be addressed to somehow to some of the people that I'll be sending, Frank and I are going to send emails to.
Say what?
Do you have any comments for film and television professionals who privately share our views on 9/11 but haven't spoke out yet?
No. Drop a postcard. Say, I'm just a little guy, but I support you. Here's $5.
But I mean, do you think that would a television and film professional do so much damage to their career by speaking out that it's really not a practical thing to do? They're advised by their agents. They're advised by everybody to, tread lightly. Don't get the wrong kind of press.
It has not bounced back on me because I was already damned before I began. But Rob Schneider, who I'd worked with and considered a friend, came upon me at a something that the union, when it was a good union, was picketing. And he walked by me and said, I saw you on talking about, I see you believe in 9/11, Ed. I'm surprised at you. I thought you'd know better. And I looked at him. The nice guy I thought he was, I was disappointed. But they're all over the place. And some of my worst enemies probably believe in 9/11.
That is definitely the paradox of 9/11.
Yeah.
People from all walks of life. I mean, Richard Gage was a devout Republican.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. He's moved to Idaho now where he's growing his own food. And
Well, I suppose there are a lot of Republicans in that grouping you guys got.
there is, as a matter of fact, there are, because a lot of the professionals are Republicans.
But they're the kind of Republicans I like to meet.
I feel that way too. It's really helped me in that regard, because I was getting pretty polarized. And I don't like that.
And the Democrats have been weenies most of the time.
I mean, what did you think about, just to change the subject for a second, what did you think about 29 standing ovations for Netanyahu when everybody stood up for him for 29 times?
Was it 29?
29 or 28 standing ovations when nobody's ever done that for any president that anybody can recollect. I mean, I'm talking about the Senate and the Congress having an agenda that seems to be.
Well, they didn't publicize it, so I didn't know about it. But the fact that 100 senators signed that bill while Gaza was going on, funding Israel's, what was it, Iron
Dome.
No, we cannot trust either party anymore. And we're sadly in need of a revolution, I would say, of some form or another. But
Well, we need to get money out of politics.
well, that's the only answer to save democracy in America, to create public financing for elections, because they are corrupt. There isn't a congressman who isn't a millionaire, and they weren't that when they got there. So, until we learn to do that, we're screwed.
Ain't it the truth? Let me think here. I was thinking that maybe we could make like a little 30-second thing where you could be talking to the actors that we're going to be sending emails to, where you could just be saying, "I step forward. This group has made."
Know ye the truth, and the truth shall make ye free.
That's where we're headed. But just to something where I could send it in a little 30-second thing in the email where it would be Frank and I emailing them, but here's you saying, "Come on board, be brave," whatever you feel like saying that would, you think might reach them a little bit. We're going to go after Roseanne and Woody, who will probably just be totally there.
And Woody signed on?
Well, he hasn't. Nobody's signed on but you yet. You're the
Signed on to what?
signed on to just being videotaped for this documentary.
Oh, well.
This is under the auspices of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. David Ray Griffin has approved it. Richard Gage has approved it. It's not for money for me or Frank, and it's just we're doing it and giving it to them to use it as a tool to reach people. And for years I seem to be the only guy that's in the position to know about this stuff, and having been in the industry for a long time doing post-production, and then having made that documentary with Francis, I'm kind of like the natural guy to try to push this, see if we can make it happen.
Francis who?
Francis Battaglia, who you met. He was the editor of the film. And so, that's the idea, is just to see if we can reach these people, because people will watch a video with personalities that they're, have a relationship with. And I can't think of anybody in the country that is more thought about by people than actors and entertainers and artists. And those are the ones, the politicians aren't going to say anything. So who do we turn to? We turn to the only other communicators we have. And these people are professional communicators, and granted, most of them are using other people's words, but this is a chance for them to come forward and be a human being and have real emotions and real feelings and real thoughts, like you do, really. I mean, you're just a real human being. That's the idea. So if you think you could come up with any little few seconds of something that we could put in that email?
In an email?
Yeah, I'll reduce it to a tiny little video that will, like a 2 megabyte video that will transfer, I'll be able to email. So it'll just be like 30 seconds of you saying something.
Let me try.
Okay.
I'm an actor, in case nobody has come across that fact. And I am honored to be in what I consider a most glorious profession. What's it name? like names I can't think of these days.
I'm terrible at it too.
He helped fund the Irgun when Israel was being founded.
An American?
Yeah, a writer, wonderful writer. He wrote the Barrymore biography.
Which one? I don't know.
I'm not sure if it was a biography, but it talked about Barrymore. Anyway, you can piece this together after you look at it. He had a chapter in there on Barrymore, and he said that he was asked what he thought of actors, and he said, "Well, if I died and went to heaven and found it populated by actors, I would not be unhappy." And it is in that sense that I identify with acting and all the glorious brothers and sisters I have worked with. I identify with the 9/11 truth movement and have been ridiculed for being so. But I will continue to believe 9/11 truth until the day I die. So I've taken this moment to give a little interview with Luke and Frank.
Chuck.
Did I get Luke? With Chuck and Frank.
Little Luke.
Oh, I thought he was Luke. Get out of here. With Chuck and Frank. And would hope that some of my brother and sister actors would find it in their hearts, if they share some of the feelings I do, to appear with these gentlemen and give an interview on their version or vision of 9/11. Thank you.